Hello, everybody, and welcome to TNT Tuesday Night Talk. This is where we take flight and soar. We speak it, orate it, articulate it, and reverberate it. We speak it because we just want to utter words and sounds. We orate it because we want to speak in a bombastic manner and speak formally. We articulate it because we want to be communicative and effective and persuasive, and we reverberate it because we want to resound and echo and repeat and resonate and pulsate and tell you just what's going on. And we just talk about it. And so I thank you tonight for coming on. It's been a very interesting day. I am blown away about the outcome of the trial. Before I get to come on tonight, but she decided that she would rather come on next Tuesday, which is fine. So it just worked out that way. But I was thinking about the guilty, guilty. Evidence just don't lie. And when I was thinking about that today, I really wasn't going to talk about that. I was going to talk about really mind the mindset, but that verdict shocked me. I thought he would be convicted, but I didn't think he would be convicted on all charges. And so I was looking at a couple of scriptures. Well, actually, there's one scripture I want to share with you. I want to share the King James version of it, Matthew 18:16. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established. And the NIV version say, but if they will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of two or three. Version says, the English Standard says, but if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of two or three witnesses. If he refuses to listen, then they go on and say, tell it to the church. And so when I was looking at that, I said the evidence speak for itself. And I looked at that scripture, and there were a couple of times, because I didn't watch the trial because I couldn't take that constant rhetoric every day. But there was a couple of things that I did see that the evidence spoke for itself. I mean, you had a recording, you had people that was there, you had even people that he once worked for, and that say, wait a minute, that's just not how we treat people. And so the evidence speaks for itself. And I was telling my husband, I said, I am so glad that God look down and not need to have a certain leader in leadership on a day like this. We needed somebody with compassion. Whether you like the verdict or not is irrelevant. But the fact that somebody has compassion, that somebody lost their lives, and we saw it. And I don't care what anybody may say. Your eyes speak for itself. I mean, it was ever so the evidence don't lie. So tonight, I just want to talk about the evidence don't lie. It just don't. The evidence speak for itself. And when I was thinking, even in our own personal lives, speak for itself. I once was lost, but now I'm found. The evidence speak for itself. I didn't think that I would overcome some things, and I wouldn't get to this point. But when I look back over my life and all the things that I've been through, the evidence speaks for itself. It's evident that I wasn't supposed to always be down. It's evident that I was not always supposed to be lower than low. Is the evidence speak for itself? And when we look at that trial, the evidence just speak for itself. It was just a formality to go to court. I understand that some of the tree said would happen. But listen, we're living in a new day and a new time. And I just feel the shift, even in my personal life, even in my spiritual life, because why? The evidence speaks for itself. And so tonight, when I discuss the evidence of where you are in your life. See, the enemy will tell you would never make it. He will tell you you'll never overcome. He'll tell you that that you living your best life even when you're tore up from the floor up. But the evidence says that God has more. If the word is true. And that, he looked at everything after it was complete. He looked at it and said, it's good and very good. See, he said good a couple of times to reiterate what he had already said, that this thing is good. So the evidence speaks for itself that he spoke the word into existence. Things came to be. And even when you go back and you just peruse and look back in your life and look where you were, look where you come from, the evidence speaks for itself that you are more than a conqueror, that you are more than overcomer. You're just more than what, even with what the doctor said. See, because some of us may have gotten a bad report, but the evidence say that there's a bomb in Gilead. So whatever you need, God has it. So the evidence speak for itself. And so when I was looking at the people in that particular city, and how they were preparing themselves for the worst. They were preparing the people to go and tear up the stores and do all that. Even in Florida, they should have passed the law on January 6th, since they want to pass some laws. How about the real deal? Because the evidence speaks for itself. You know why? Because they've arrested over 200 and some odd people, and they are going to jail. So the evidence speaks for itself. We want to pass these laws and we want to incarcerate people of color, but the devil is a liar. The evidence speaks for itself. And so I just want to encourage someone tonight that regardless of what it looks like, because, the doctor may have given you a report, the lawyer friends say look like it's over, but listen, God died, Jesus died a couple thousand years plus ago, and the evidence speaks for itself because he rose with all power in his hand. He actually went, and it really wasn't a big deal when he went to hell and took the keys. He took back what was his anyway. I'm in control. I'm just allowing you to occupy this space because the evidence speaks for itself. And that resonated with me when I was sitting here and I was watching uh, uh, try. Even a little bit of time I did watch him, he was constantly writing. He was constantly writing. And it put me in the mind of when they were trying to stone the woman. They was constantly writing. And when Jesus actually bit down and he wrote something on the, in the dirt. And the theologian seems to suggest maybe he wrote the name of the men that was there with the stone, or maybe he wrote whatever the man that the woman supposedly was caught in adultery with. Because if you commit adultery, you kind of need a partner. I didn't see them stone the story, but I'm wondering what was he writing? Was he realizing that it was over for him? Because I was listening to one of the newscasters that was actually in the courtroom when they were at verdict. He said he was like Shubin was like zoned out because he knew it was over. It was over. It was just a formality because the evidence spoke for itself. So I'm on here tonight to encourage somebody that the evidence speaks for itself. It may not look good, right? May not look like things is going to come together, but trust me when I tell you, there's a court, and Jesus is a judge. And baby, regardless of what people say, the evidence speaks for itself. Now I know sometimes, even with this trial, you can get a little antsy. You get a little afraid because you say, God, I trust you, I'm still, I'm a little scared in this area. And that's just human nature because we have not come in our glorified body yet. Until we do, we're going to have anxiety and we're going to have time. This time, fear will set in. But at the end of the day, the evidence will speak for itself. Think about all the times that you were scared and you was pacing the floor and you didn't sleep at night and you're worrying about things and everything came together anyway. It was going to work out the way it was going to work out. I can remember so many nights I didn't sleep. So many nights I had anxiety. I had attacks. I used to have serious anxiety. I would be up all night long. Honestly, all night long. I did that for years because of the anxiety and because of the fear and but the evidence, I didn't even realize that the evidence at the time spoke for itself. Because really, if you truly want the answer to any question that you have, you pick up that Bible. But it's called Basic Instruction Before, I forgot what Bible stands before. basic instruction. I'll think about it and I'll tell you what that stands for. But whatever you need is in the word. It's in the word. And so the evidence speaks for itself. And so when I start, even I was seemed kind of strange, but I had a certain amount of compassion and even empathy for Chauvin. I really did. He needs to pay for his crime. Don't get me wrong. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Before leaving Earth, thank you. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's what Bible stands for. I mean, he needs to pay for his crime. But I was thinking, I said, I said, you know what? I don't think he got up that morning think he's gonna kill somebody. I think what happened with him, he became uh, almost like fallible, because of course I was reading about how he had other charges and he had been doing, stuff and getting away, but you never actually get away. You really don't. And all of a sudden on that day, at that moment, he got consumed and caught up because I think he thought he was more than what he was, and my sympathy or empathy really is for his family. And if he got kids, I guess he got a daughter. I mean, because at the end of the day, when we have family members that do things that we don't necessarily look at the family negatively, but he did the crime. And so I don't know. I said, God, because I really want to be really mad, and that's right. You need to go and roll in my neck. But I said, God, Leonard just looked at me. I said, I want him to go to jail, of course, and I want him to spend the time that he needs to spend. But my heart, in my heart, I say, God, at the end of the day, he's your creation. I mean, you look down through the what was going to go. This is what happened, But I'm glad things happened the way it happened because of the fact that I didn't want this country to be torn apart because it was people waiting. So, see, I told you. See what I'm talking about? This is why we passed them laws. No, that ain't why you passed the laws. That ain't why you passed the laws. You passed the laws when you a form of entrapment to entrap people and to imprison people because you just. Now, I do agree that we don't need to be tearing up stores and stuff like that. Care about the people? No, you don't. It was because it seemed kind of funny that you're passing laws and you're carrying on about people tearing up stores, but you didn't have a problem with January the 6th. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. I have an issue with it, you know. But the evidence just speaks for itself. Nita said, "I feel for Chauvin's family. I think they are in hiding. You can't find any info on them, and I know they are." Because think about it, even with Chauvin, but think about Chauvin on the way, because I read, of course, that he had a lot of complaints. And so he's gotten away with, and you know how you get away with something so long you become comfortable with it. So he got away with this for so long and he became comfortable with it. And that's why he was so arrogant. And that's why he just had his hand in his pocket and this smug look. It was almost like he was almost possessed, like something had taken over him. Man, get off this. Get off this young man. When somebody got to pull you off somebody, I just can't even imagine what was going through his mind. But I still, we can't change yesterday, but I still, have compassion, like you said, for his family and for friends. Yeah, these people got to go and hide, and people gonna be, doing things and craziness. Or I think he has a sister, but you can't find her. Hey, if I was his sister, Nita, you wouldn't be able to find me either. Girl, you talking about going underground? Going underground. And think about it, file for divorce. I said, oh my gosh, so the person that I don't know what kind of relationship they had, but the person that I thought would be there, she filed for divorce almost immediately. And I was thinking to myself, I said, wonder what kind of person he was personally. For her to like it was almost her opportunity to get out of this thing and get out of this thing in a hurry. So I'm wondering. But at the end of the day, I just want to let you know that the evidence speaks for itself. My mom tonight, I got my grandkids, which is, oh Lord, that's a full time job. But I'm committed. His wife Jet. He so did. She did. She did. But we don't know, what would have come of that. We don't know what these people have to go through. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And to think, um, he sit there. I would love Anita and Sharon. I would love to see some of this. One of the things he did not do whenever they would show him, and on Mr. Floyd's neck, he would always look down. It was almost like he came into it, came like he came around. I don't know what made him do that, but because of that, see, sometimes things have to die, people have to die, situations have to die for a change to come, and it's sad. It's like planting the seed; it has to die in order for it to grow. And it's sad that we had to lose him in that way. And I don't know him personally, but we have brothers and uncles and cousins and even sister, because he was Crump was talking about this one young lady that had gotten shot. I didn't even hear about it, on her back. The police shot her 3 or 4 times while she was laying on her back. And so there's injustice, and I tell my husband all the time, I says, not just men, it's women too. That there's injustice across this land, and everything be swept out on the rug, because when this first happened, instead of he go and get a doggone Bible and stand up and hold it upside down, and um, I don't know what it was supposed to symbolize. Maybe it was speaking to a certain group of people. But we live in a country that you can't speak to a certain group, even if you don't like them, even if you don't agree with their way of life, even if you don't like that they're uh, KKK or whoever. You have to speak to a country because we're diverse. Maybe we're diverse, and so I'm just so glad that we have the man and woman that we have now. We have lost our compassion, and that's what I was thinking about Chauvin. And I know he did a heinous thing, but I still have a compassion for him. And my prayer for him, that whether he get 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, that he would use that opportunity to really get his mind right, and get his soul right, actually, if the truth be told, because we all need grace. Well, I mean, I haven't went out and shot and killed nobody, but there are times in my life I needed grace. I needed grace. I needed somebody to forgive. Even my children, I had to get grace with my children, because there was that time in our lives when I was raising them that I fell short as a mother. So I needed the grace. And so I'm by no means am I celebrating him, oh, ham and eggs, no. But I do understand is that whatever he gets, and wherever he goes is probably not even what he probably should get, because you can't bring back Mr. Floyd. You can't. Yeah, but you know what? It shook me to the core of my being that we can be so callous and kill people. And I've seen it in the last month or so, where people just like callous. Is like the Bible say that they're gonna wax cold, like they're not even open to a sound doctrine and teaching. It's they're almost caught up in almost like in another dimension where another life don't matter. It don't matter. Yeah, black, and we say Black Lives Matter. We're not saying that other people don't matter. We're saying that we want you to know that Black lives matter also. And just because we don't put also in there, you know what we're talking about. So people kill me, all lives matter. No, they don't. No, they don't. You don't say that until we emphasize that Black lives matter. And I'm speaking from a mother's perspective, from an auntie perspective. From I got cousins. I had a whole lot of people I know, so lives matter. But at the end of the day, the evidence speaks for itself. You hear what I'm saying? The evidence speaks for itself. And this is why they took those cuffs and they put one on his left and then on the right. And they escorted because they say, Mr. Shoe, and put your hand behind your back. And so how ironic it is, the same profession that you've been in for all these years is a same profession jail. Isn't that something? Because of, let me say something. This is why we got to be careful what we do. 9 minutes and so many seconds change your life, change this world, change the whole city, the whole country. I mean, 9 minutes. So what you do, it makes a difference. What you do, that one moment of time in time could shift your whole world. It really can. And that for Mr. Sherman. If he could go back and take that 9 minutes and whatever seconds away, he would. But we can't change time. And what he did in that time was destroy a family, kill a man, took a little girl's father, took somebody's brother. It shook the country. I cried because I could not believe. I thought it was, when I first saw it, I thought it wasn't true. I didn't believe that nobody could just sit there. It wasn't real. But see, the evidence speak for itself. Hey, cousin, the evidence. Carry my condolences to you, sweetie. And I couldn't come because my daughter had surgery. So, but I love you, baby. But the evidence speak for itself. You walk around like you all that in a bag of chips, like you bad bobo. Now you sitting in a jail cell. Now you already know you're getting ready to go away for a long time. And they're still reaching out to him, but it's a bad thing. But then Mr. Floyd family, they don't, you know, they really got something to deal with. I was telling my husband today when I was listening to his family talk, and I was thinking, I said, you know what? I say, oh, George Floyd, I said, but his family was like phenomenal. They were not they were well spoken people, and they were saying about his brother would be in the court and he would be praying every day that he was there. I listened to all of them talk. I didn't even realize that many brothers. I listened to the couple of brothers and some cousins and aunts, and Mr. Crump allowed them to speak, and they spoke so eloquently, and they thanked everybody. And even though it was traumatic for them, they understood that they had to lose him in order to change a system, change a world, literally change a world. Because the evidence spoke for itself. He killed that man. Oh, and man, he killed that man. And when I was thinking about um when he called for his mom, and you know how it is, y'all. When you could be 40, 50 years old, but you want your mama. And even now, I'm 60, almost 62, and my mom's gone. But it's sometimes I pick up the phone because I want my mom. I just want to hear her voice. I do. And so here this man laying on that ground, dying, and still calling out for his mom, who's already gone. So, but the evidence spoke for seven. And even today, y'all, as I'm on tonight, at least as I'm on here, just know that whatever in your life, that's the evidence. Will speak for itself. Life speaks for itself. Situations speak for itself. When I look back over my life, and even from where I was to where I am now, there were things I did then that have pushed me to where I am now. But then there are also things I did then that caused me to as far as I could, because the evidence spoke for itself. Some of the things I did to myself, some of the things I allowed other people to do to me, and it started my growth. But the evidence speaks for itself. But because of the grace of God and the same grace that I'm extending to the Mr. Chauvin, that grace, it caused me to really look at life different, get to where I am now, focus on what's important, stop getting caught up in things that really don't matter. Because I used to really get bent out of shape when I'm on social media and people say something, especially when they were talking about George Floyd and some of these other fools that be on there talking. It's a chick named Henri. I don't even know her name, but it's just a matter of time with her because there'll come a time all of them did all this support and all this saying is foolishness. That they listen, the evidence speak for itself because all you got to do is say the wrong thing, they're gonna kick you to the curb. Ask them little screaming sisters that was on Fox. They said the wrong thing and they kicked their butts to the curb and fired them. So your evidence speak to yourself, Miss Dash. Now Miss Dash, now she want to get a black card back. She want to start dating black men. I thought that was so stupid of her to say. But the evidence spoke for herself. She supported something that she really shouldn't have supported. And even if you do support that, that's your business. I support the president. Whoopie do. That's your business. But you can ask one of the little Mary girls that we don't see no more, that we don't support. I would support her, but I'm just saying, so when you be careful the things that come out of your mouth because the evidence will follow you. Evidence follow you. You think you done went on and yeah, God forgive you, but there's still some people like, child, don't buy her music, girl. Oh no, don't book her. Don't do this. I can't think of this one singer. And when Trump won, she said something stupid, and they canceled everything. And she had to come back and say, I'm sorry. It wasn't because of that. Yeah, it was because of what she said. But my thing is this: you make your money in the black community. So, I just thought it was stupid of her to say. But your evidence, you can't say you didn't say it because we're in social media. Even whatever I say now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, somebody can go back and say, because I already know, child, they be like, girl, sit down somewhere, all them skeletons in your closet, girl, you got a whole body. But they can go back and say, hey, you said this on that stage, you said that. So whatever I say, I stand by it. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to say, I try not to really not necessarily cut people down, but speak what I believe needs to be spoken. This is Tuesday Night Talk, and we speak it Orate, articulate, and reverberate. And sometimes, but anyway, I promise you guys I will not be on here long tonight because again, like I said, my youngest daughter was in the hospital, and then I had my grandkids. Oh my gosh, kids. Listen, when you get a certain age, nope. I seen somebody recently was like almost 60 years old and pregnant. No, I can't even imagine that. But anyway, I really want to come on tonight after I found the verdict. I didn't think the verdict was going to be that quick. I'm like, what the freak? Gosh. But the evidence was so compelling. It really was. And so even my walk with Christ is so compelling. The word of God is so compelling. Even when you get in there and you start reading, you start searching, and you start looking, it's almost like digging for gold. It's there, but sometimes you got to dig and dig and, and it's there. And, and that's just how it was with his trial. The evidence was so compelling. No. So even in our own life, there are things that's so compelling. Even if if you've been called, and I talk, make sure we pursue our dreams and our vision because actually this month I was doing mind your mindset. And so you have to change your mind because the evidence is there what can happen. You can look all around you. Some of the people are doing great things. The evidence is there. It's not that you can't. It's a lot of times because we won't or we're afraid or whatever the case may be. But if you look at it, get on social media, whatever you think you've been called to do. If you're a speaker, if you're a baker, whatever you've been called to do, get on social media and see the people that's doing. The evidence is there. The evidence is compelling. Read these people's lives who have built businesses from ground, just like me, everyday people. But the difference is they kept going. They didn't give up on the dream. And see, a lot of times we look at people and we think that they just made it. No, baby, some of these people have struggled 5, 10, 15 years. By the time we see them, they look like they just made it. But no, they put in the time. Some of them may have to be up all night, whatever the case may be. But the evidence is there. The evidence is compelling. It's up to us to pursue our dreams. And that's why we have to mind our mindset. And that's why it's so important that we think different, we walk different, we talk different, and even try to see things different. I'm trying so hard to see things more than one way because I was one dimensional. It was going to be that way or no other way. And so I had to be more open minded. Even if I don't necessarily agree with something, I'm still open minded to hear it. And because the evidence is compelling. And sometimes when you take the time to really look at the evidence and see what the evidence said, you're like, wow, I never saw it that way. I never understood it that way. That's why when you hear preachers preach, sometimes preachers will preach the same text and get different revelation from the text because the evidence is there, but we don't see it, we don't know it. And so when those jurors today went back yesterday, went back in that whatever room, whatever floor they were on, and they sit at that table, and I know they were at a table, and they conversed and they talked about it. They said it was 10 hours. Well, 10 hours is a good. I mean, maybe for a juror it's not that long, but they sit in, and probably what they did is went from frame to frame and talked about this and talked about this and talked about that. About the little girl was saying how she was sad and mad, and how they had to pull Mr. Schuber off the man because he wouldn't get up. Spoke for itself. And how the guy said, "You're not gonna make me look like I'm a mad, I'm an angry black man." No, baby, no. Evidently, he said, "No, we were not a mob. We were just people who, hey, Nicole, we were just people who saw somebody." He said, "Saw somebody murdered." So there were so many moments in the trial where the evidence spoke for itself, and that's why it came back as guilty, guilty, guilty. Oh my God! It's one thing to be guilty for one thing, but his behind was guilty for all three. Now he was expressing this. I think he was I don't know, I think he was zoned out somewhere in La La Land. But the evidence speaks for itself, y'all. In the trial, in your lives, Nicole just popped up. Nicole just popped up on here, and you know what? I was when I saw her name and she popped up, and I was thinking how she started out with her business and how it did. The evidence spoke for itself. It told her that she could go to the next level in that business, but then she had to work. Probably bought stuff. Probably sometimes they didn't. Uh, but the evidence told her, hey, I can go to the next level, and that's how we have to be, Miss Sharon Green, Miss Elder Sharon Elaine Green. So the evidence speaks for itself. You already know what can happen. You've already seen it. You've seen people walk in it. You even walked in some of it yourself. But we have to understand that even though we felt like this particular man should have been, they should have said, if you guilty, guilty, guilty. Sometimes it don't always happen the way we want it. And uh, in this particular case, that these people had to go in another room, and they had to make the decision that we already knew. And so sometimes, even though you make the decision, and you know what the decision is, but sometimes you have to go to another place. You have to go somewhere else and say, you know what? I know what the evidence says, but okay, God, help me understand. Help me go to the next level. Help me go. Help me when I don't even want to do it. Give me innovative ideas. Uh, Let me do something that I have never done before. Let me fly even higher. Yeah, I'm flying a little bit, but let me fly over the eagles. Because one thing about an eagle not worried about who's under them because the eagles fly so high. And so you have to constantly tell yourself, even in the organization that I'm in, we constantly change and we constantly move and trying to progress, when we try to help people along the way, even as we help ourselves, because along the way we're helping ourselves as we help other people. So the evidence speaks for itself. So you have to evidence about your organization, about your dream, about your vision, about that thing that's been growing on the inside of you. Some of y'all been pregnant so doggone long. When that baby is born, he probably gonna be about 10 pounds because you've been carrying it for so long. It's kicking, it's turning, it's flipping. If you ever been pregnant, sometime when you're about the 8th month, and especially when you have those active babies, they be flipping and turning, and because what they're doing, they're preparing themselves to come into the world. And so that's how your vision is. It flips, it turns, it hurts you. Your legs swell, your feet swell, your back hurt, all of this stuff because that baby is trying to get in position so it can come forth. And that's how your vision is. Your vision is trying to get in position to come forth. And so the evidence speaks for itself. The evidence says, hey, it's time for you to come forward. The evidence say it's time. And that's just why Mr. Chauvin got guilty, guilty, guilty. Because the evidence truly spoke for itself. Lawyer, I applaud his lawyer. He reached and grasped at everything he could. He was trying to search. He was trying to find just that one little thing to for people to say, well, maybe, but it wasn't there. He tried to agitate people. He tried, and he did his job. I know I didn't particularly like him because I was just mad because he what his stuff he was saying, but he did what he was supposed to do. But the evidence was just overwhelming. It really was, y'all. And even in our lives, y'all, the evidence is overwhelming. Sheila Gray, my dear cousin, the evidence is overwhelming. What you've been called to do is just it's overwhelming. It's just up to us to step out and do what we've been called to do. It's overwhelming. Nicole and Sharon and Anita and moving well is Karen. It's overwhelming. If my sister's on here, it's overwhelming. Sometimes I don't know if she's here. Uh, I don't know, but preface she'll see this. But sometimes it don't look like it's coming together. You've been fasting and praying and you're touching and agreeing. You're seeing everybody else prosper. You see other ministries growing. You see people overcoming. And you see people being financially blessed. And so you're asking yourself, when will my time be? But I want her to know if she and I'll give her a call. Evidence going to speak for itself, sister dear. It speaks for itself, regardless of what you see, regardless of what it looks like. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Even during the trial, of course, I mean, he knew his chances was not good. But he if he never prayed before, he prayed. Shoot, I bet he did. I bet he did. And he was hoping just that one thing that he could walk away from that. He knew if he walked away from that he would have to probably go in a whole nother country. But it was not to be because the evidence was overwhelming. And so, even with y'all tonight, people that's on here and people will listen, the evidence is overwhelming for what you've been called to do. I know it don't look good. You know how many times it didn't look good for me? Yeah, times even with the movement and Anita knows so many times I want to call her and say, "Girl, Chad, I can't do this. I can't keep up with this. I don't understand this. I don't know. I. You know, I like listen here. I need somebody to stick a pen in my eye and let me know that not that I can't, but I can. And I had to understand it, but because of the evidence was so overwhelming, when I saw stuff started coming together, when I saw because I know some of that stuff she would tell me like, "Child, I don't know what she's talking about garbage in, garbage out." But it came a time when I started to grasp the evidence that I could make it. I started to grasp the evidence that I'm somebody. I started to grasp the evidence that I'm an overcomer. And then I started building my confidence. And then I started to, start telling people, sharing every time we get together, I tell all the time. I guess she said, "Oh, so sick of her." Oh, she's here. Oh, yeah, my sister's here. Yeah. So I wasn't sure that you was here. I'm digressing, y'all. I wasn't sure you was here, but I just want to encourage you, Wendy, but I just want to encourage you to let you know that it's coming together. It's coming together. You may not see it, it may not look like it, but it's coming together. And sometimes when things come together, it's not like putting up. It's sort of kind of like putting back up. It is sort of like putting a puzzle together because you got the puzzle together, and all of a sudden, just when you thought you got the last piece, you can't find it. I know we used to do puzzles all the time. And you don't work on this because you need the other piece to complete the puzzle. And so that's what God has you. He has you to the place where you're waiting for that other piece to complete the puzzle. Oh, the puzzle's going to come together. Trust me. It's coming together. But it takes time to build. It takes time to believe. Because listen, you got to learn how to believe. You don't just wake up one morning to believe. I had to learn how to believe. You know what? You know how I learned how to believe? When situations started happening, when I knew that it was nothing nobody could do. My mama couldn't even help me. And over the time, I learned how to believe. I learned how to trust. And you only learn and build that when you're going through. And so even with Mr. Tubman, he trusted his lawyer. He trusted him, but he also knew that his man hand was kind of tied. But it was always that slim of hope, always in the back of his mind, just maybe. And that's why whenever they show the picture of him kneeling down on Mr. Floyd's neck, that's why he kept his eyes down. They say he never looked because he knew it's over for me. I'm praying and hoping, just maybe. But the evidence was overwhelming. And that's what I'm here to tell y'all tonight. The evidence is overwhelming. It speaks for itself. Yeah, think about it. Sometimes we have to go back to the judge, Jesus. He's a judge and a jury. We don't have to worry about 10 people going back out and have a conversation about us and see if we may be innocent, if we may be guilty. We don't have to. And so he has the evidence. He has the evidence, and he sees us. But we have to get to the place that we begin to trust him and know that the evidence speaks for itself. It really does. And I was so moved today, and I was moved in a way I thought I wasn't going to be moved. I was moved in a way that I was like, okay, yeah, that's right. He should have went. No, yeah, I do agree, he should, but that was not my heart. My heart was to tell people that Chauvin, evidence already spoke for itself. He going to jail, and that's a fact. But I wanted to use that analogy to let us know that there's an evidence that speaks for itself for our lives. And with the movement, I'm always looking at other organizations, and I'm always, I'm not trying to uh, do what they do, but I want to see and hear their story, how they overcame. That's why I like when I do with the to tell their story. I haven't done that in a while, but I'm going to do it again, and to tell their story, how they overcame. But we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of testimony. And so when you hear somebody, you're like, oh, she went through that and she's still standing. Oh, he went through that and he's still here. And so we see that people are overcomers and they can do anything but fail. Well, that's about it for me. Oh, when it says stepping out on faith, I'm here. And she say, evidence to build our confidence. Yes, yes. Oh my God. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. I am so thankful you guys came on tonight, and I'm glad I was rushing trying to get here and get those kids to bed, and because they go, I need help with my homework. Like, I don't know what this stuff is. I was trying to help my grandparents. I said, "Child, I don't know what this stuff is." So I was trying to rush and get them together. 'Cause I really want to come on compassion. With compassion. After I heard the family speak, then I start seeing a different perspective because there was no gloating. There was no. I mean, they were happy. They were happy because they lost their loved one, but it was not like I thought it would be. And I saw in the family compassion and empathy. I saw in the family that they were able to. One person said that they're finally able to exhale, and now then I can't breathe. And they were saying, now I'm able to breathe. Now I'm able to go to the next level. Now I'm able to fight for justice. And they were saying, we're not just stopping here. We're fighting for other injustice, and other things. And I want us to get that same type of tenacity that these people had and say, hey, this is not the end for me. I'm going to keep fighting. No, my dream didn't come together like I thought it was because COVID-19 hit and I had to put everything on the back burner. But that don't mean I won't give up. I won't stop fighting because before COVID-19, I was doing this and I was doing that. Even after COVID-19, I had to change some things. I had to rearrange some things. I had to put things in order. But through it all, I still overcome. Why? Because the evidence, oh my God, the evidence speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. Do your research on your dream. Do your research on your vision. Even if it's not just like yours, somebody's doing something out there. And some people, I'm telling you, and it was on the Today Show of all places, how these young women, two black young women, one was a nurse and one was a teacher, and they said how they was from Georgia, and their mama taught them how to use Georgia. I think it was from Georgia, or either South Carolina, but their mom taught them how to use clay from the ground that don't cost nothing. They took nothing that don't cost nothing, and they were able to make beautiful jewelry, designer jewelry. You would never in a million years think that that came from that. I said, now they took dirt and turned dirt into millions, millions. These women, and they still had their professions, and that was just something their mama taught them when they were little girls, and they were doing it, and then they decided to take it mainstream, and then it ended up on Today Show, and they were having that's on February Black History Month, and some of the black businesses, and they were showing some of those black businesses. So I thought to myself, I say, surely, and turn it into a business, then I can get off my do nothing and begin to work on my visions and my dreams and my thoughts and my ideas, because I have a lot of them. Because the evidence spoke for itself when I saw that. And this is my final story. One young man, I won't say dude, but he was an older guy. He was in his 90s. He wrote his first book. His first book. Evidence speak for itself. He could have said, "I'm old. I ain't gonna never do this." But in his 90s, he decided, "I'm gonna write a book." And they talked about it on Today Show. Obviously, I watch a lot of Today Show, and they talked about it. I was so moving, and even today, it moved me. It moved me how this thing it turned a nation, a country, a world upside down. One black man on the ground with one white man on his neck, and it's symbolic of how life has been for a whole lot of our ancestors, and even some of us, that always was somebody on our neck. But I refuse to lay down and have anybody on my neck and not pursue my dreams and my visions. And I'm not talking about there's nothing that could be done, because if anybody would try, I know everybody say, if it was me, I would have been. No, you wouldn't have, because if they'd have made any kind of move, that little Asian fellow that was standing up there, he wanted to shoot somebody. I saw it. I said, "Oh Lord," he was ready to shoot. So things happen like things happen. But anyway, that's it for me tonight. I thank you so much. I'm so encouraged. Don't you guys be encouraged. Just know that the evidence speaks for itself. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what people say. People always talking about something. People flapping their lips, and a lot of times the ones talking not doing nothing anyway, and follow them home, they ain't got nothing going on anyway, or either they just like to gossip, because the Bible talks about a gossiper. We want to talk about a homosexual, yeah, but hey, it talks about a busy bee and the gossipers in the Bible, and a whole lot of other stuff that I failed under a lot of them. I ain't here to pass judgment, because some of that stuff it was saying God didn't like, I was doing some of that stuff. So, God has really turned me around. But at the end of the day, the evidence speaks for itself. And so that's it for me tonight. My name is Annette L. Anderson. And this is a time that we take S.O.A.R, and actually we fly. We fly every Tuesday. I'm trying to fly somewhere, but we speak it, orate it, articulate it, and reverberate it. In other words, we just talk about it. And today we just we talked about the evidence speak for itself. And usually, like I said, this month was a mind your mindset, but I kind of had to deviate just a little bit after what happened today. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to witness the move of God really in this country, because it could have been ugly. They prepared meant it for bad. God turned around for our good. So that's it for me tonight. Y'all have a blessed night, and also come join us tomorrow. Tomorrow night at 7 at the Movement. It was a motivation organization built to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. We are a movement to move. So if you join me and Anita tomorrow on this on this platform. I'll be glad to see y'all. That's at 7 o'clock. Okay, be blessed. Bye, everybody.